What's up, my dudes? Wow, we got us one today, boys. So this is Israel Sand, right? Is that the name of this? Something like that, right? Israel something. Definitely sandy vibes, okay? So this is made by the same dude that made the Purple Rocks Compound. If any of you guys remember that track, came out just a little while back. His name's like Janik MX, something like that on the forums. So this is a dude that has been connected with, you know, the guys that was making the Nicholas Sandbox tracks, MX Fish, right? You've got all these dudes kind of in a team together. They're on the Bloom Racing team. They all have really taken MX Simulator, especially graphically, to an entire another level in this game. I mean, these dudes should be put on the front page of the website for what they've done for this game. Like, it's actually insane. The whole 3D scanning started with the Nicholas Sandbox. He went in there and made like a little 3D scan sand track, and then he got really advanced with the Nicholas Sandbox National and then the Nicholas Sandbox Supercross track, which I sponsored. Right, got my tough blocks on it. But little Oprah, anybody remember? Oh my God. Kids today will never know. But anyways, so yeah, the point being is with this whole, the way they do their off-track, like decals and overlays and custom objects and, super high-res decals and objects, and the 3D scanned aspect of the on-tracks takes it to another level. It just really does feel like a whole nother... It's like you're playing MX Simulator 2 whenever you play on any of these Nicholas Sandbox tracks or any of these real 3D scan tracks. I know a few other people's kind of tried to make some 3D scan tracks in this game, but none of them, in my opinion, have really been able to like match up to these Nicholas Sandbox, Janik, any of these sort of the Nicholas Sandbox crew or whatever you want to call it type tracks in the game. Like, you just know when you get on these tracks, you just know like you're on a whole nother level, right? They put in particle effects, dust effects, their own custom, full-blown custom skyboxes. I mean, they are taking the off-track designs and the graphical designs of these MX Simulator tracks to a whole nother level, and this track's no different, right? So, obviously, I'm going to try to go into the, like I did with my recent MX vs. ATV track review. I told you guys I was going to start kind of piecing apart the different aspects of the track and give, individual ratings on, like, off-track, fun factor, skill gap, all that kind of stuff. So, definitely when you talk about off-track, it's 11 out of 10, right? I mean, that's just pretty much with any of these Nicholas Sandbox style. I just really like the whole entire vibe of this thing, too. Like, that's really cool. Like an Israel design, you can kind of see the skybox got a really cool effect to it, kind of sunsetty, really colorful skybox. Don't think I've ever actually seen that exact skybox in this game before. But this is some deep sand, dog. You're going to be bogging her down. I don't care what bike you're on. This is some deep sand right here, bro. Like Southwick times 2, like this puppy's deep. So it is interesting getting on here, kind of trying to whip and like hit some of these corners and stuff when you got super deep sand like that, because you'll just lose the front end. Exhibit A, you'll lose the front end pretty easily without even realizing it. But yeah, definitely cool. So yeah, off track 11 out of 10. Now when it comes to fun factor on this, as far as the on track, I mean, your fun factor is kind of all coming from the corners and the ruts and the, carrying your speed. There's not really a whole lot of jump fun factor on this track at all. And that's okay. I mean, it's not like every track really needs, 100-foot jump here and there or whatever. But this is definitely more of like a small jump, local vibe, kind of, you could hit it on any kind of bike. Hit any of the jumps on any bike. It's definitely not a big jump track by any stretch of the imagination. There's not really any like triples of any kind or anything that you're going to have any trouble with. It really is like a beginner track in the jumping sense of it. It really is like a super easy track in the overall difficulty rating of it. Yeah, there is some roughness difficulty, and when you really get to hossing on some of these ruts and kind of sand sliding through the berms and stuff, yeah, the skill gap does get raised in that sense, but as far as like just straight up jump skill gap, there's just pretty much non-existent on this track. So, but it's all in what you're trying to make. You know what I mean? And that's the thing I've always tried to explain anytime I've done any of these track reviews is, you know, you can make anything you want to in the game. Like, just because I come in here and might give your track a whatever, a 7 instead of a 10, like, that doesn't even matter, dog. Like, you can make anything in this game. AKA, you know, Kellen Brower making a NASCAR track or whatever. Like, that's the part of the beauty of it is you can make anything you want to. Make a space track, make a massive jump track, make a quote-unquote more realistic easy track, make a really cool graphical track. I mean, it's just like whatever you want to make. That's what's so cool about having that, you know, real open track editor that you can just put anything you can imagine into it. People's made Dragon Ball Z tracks, people's made Mario Kart tracks. I mean, you know, and those things are nowhere near like a realistic, you know, some of these people that get really too into this, they want every track to be a JGMX super realistic. Like, they're never going to give a Dragon Ball Z track or a Mario Kart track or a space track, for that matter, a good rating because they don't really like those kind of more fantasy style tracks. But my sort of thing is like, I guess what I'm saying is like, you can rate something in so many different like mindsets and ways, right? You can rate something off of how unique the design of it is, which can take some tracks way above and beyond other tracks. Or you can just look at the on-track and you could have the most basic off-track ever, the most basic woodland standard off-track ever. But if the on-track is amazing, then that could take it up a notch. You know what I mean? And it's all like who enjoys what kind of tracks more. There's a lot of personal like elements that goes into how you rate a track or how you know, your opinions on a track. It's all very, you know, everybody's going to have their own opinion on it, right? Because everybody likes different kinds of tracks. But like particularly with a JGMX style or more in like the realm of realistic or whatever, it seems to sort of reach the broad spectrum of people because usually they're like medium difficulty. So it's going to kind of reach out to those pros. It's going to reach out to the beginners. It's going to, you know, everybody can kind of enjoy that, but that doesn't mean you can't go in there and make a space track or a crazy fantasy track or a NASCAR track or a silly track or a fun track or a whatever the hell you want to make. Point being, what I'm trying to get at is don't get discouraged by the potential backlash or negative opinions you could have on your track. Don't let that hold you back from making something unique, right? Because we need that in this game. You know, like, we got to have it. So either way, some cool little ruts going up like that. There are a few areas of this track that get pretty tight, like for a sand track, when you talk about the inside rut, specifically this corner, like, whew, I mean, it's just hard to even hit that inside rut when it's this deep of a sand traction. So there's definitely, for a sand track, you know, typically sand tracks are very wide, like Southwicky, you know, Southwicky, new word, dog. But this track definitely has some tighter sections and stuff on it. So that was interesting, kind of how he kind of mixed it. It's almost like, in a way, like, a lot of these sections are really short, really tight. But his overall width of the track I thought was pretty good. Cool corner right here. You can rail into that berm. Man, I hope RF gets some pre-made on their 2020 national tracks. Oh, please, dog, please. I'm begging you, bro. I'm begging you. Oh, man, I can't go through another year of flat tracking, dog. I can't do it. So we'll see. But, yeah, this dude's definitely got, like, more, you know, what you expect as far as pre-made ruts, pre-made roughness, pre-made braking bumps, pre-made berms. You know what I mean? It doesn't have that, like, erode specific made for terrain deformation, smoothed off everything, rolled off everything, you know, like barely even any ruts anywhere. This is more of like a legit track. And that's the thing, you know, that's what I've always tried to get across is even when you make these tracks that are like more normal, like, you know, true pre-made ruts, not the rolled off pre-made ruts, you can still run a road on that, even if you want to, right? You just want to run it a little bit lower because you already have pre-made going on, right? And like some people that have it in their head thinking that you just can't run a road on a normal like pre-made, like bigger pre-made rut track or bigger pre-made berm tracks and roughness, dude, you definitely can. Like, that's what kind of frustrates me a little bit when RF will go in there and make like a flat track with, 1 centimeter tall ruts, totally smoothed out ruts, and they just, they're like wanting a road to do everything. And so then it kind of makes a lot of these track makers think they've got to do that same thing, what RF was kind of getting into at the beginning of Nationals last year. So they'll go in there and make their custom tracks. I'm sure some of you guys have seen some of those custom tracks out there that are like 100% made around a road, right? So then they're like smoothed off berms, flat sections. The track feels flat. There's no character to it, right? But you can come in here on a track like this that has that more old school style or like a JGMX style, what you expect the pre-made ruts to be size-wise and what you expect the pre-made roughness to be and all that. You can still run a road on that, dog, and it works just fine. You're just going to have to crank it down a little bit, That's kind of all it comes down to, but wow. Look at that ass. Dude, these rocks are sick right here. That is so cool. God, like, that almost looks like you're looking at photorealistic. Like, I don't even know how he did that like that. But, man, these Nicholas Sandbox dudes, they are the kings of being able to put just hyper-realistic, graphical-looking stuff into this game. It's crazy, dude. Like, all these little... Like, all of us dudes that are making these standard MX Simulator tracks right now, we're not even on the level. They're taking it to a whole nother dimension when it comes to, like, just look at the fidelity of this, dog. Look at this. Like, nobody else makes off tracks like this detailed and this. What even is that? I mean, is that like I gotta figure out what this even is, dude. So, it's an overlay of some degree. Is it just like one big decal over the whole caboodle? It probably is. I'm just having trouble figuring out exactly where it is. Like, it may just be one giant decal, overlay decal, and then like, kind of peppered with smaller decals. I'm not sure, but just the way they can get and then all this out here. Like, dog, they're taking it to that next level. You know what I mean? I've been talking about RF needing to do that with their tracks. Whew. These Nicholas Sandbox dudes and Janik and all these dudes are really getting this going, man. I mean, just look at there's no other... Typically with an off-track in MX Simulator, you're just painting down like 3 or 4 different decals on the off track, right? Whereas this is like literally a overlay image of some sand area in real life, right? So you're getting this like literally almost basically photorealistic, and they've played around a little bit with that they do that a little bit on the Nationals of this game, and they have over the years, but not quite to this like extent. It just hasn't seemed like. It's got that little hazy, sandy effect. You can barely see that on YouTube, but it's like a little particle effect down through there. So, yeah, I mean, just overall, not a bad track. Really like the rock design here. It kind of got like a mossy vibe to it. That rock would be really cool on some trail or, a lot of different other types of designs. Interesting, It's like they always put a little something. With the Purple Rocks compound, it was those big rocks on that, right? That really, like, made that track stand out, right? And in this one, you've got kind of more of this, and then you got some animal vibe going on. You got, like, just the overall off-track sand vibe within the skybox. It just really makes it one of a kind. It really makes it feel like you're somewhere, I don't know. It's just hard. Man, these dudes are, whew. This is like they are taking track making to, I can't even compete with this. Like, this is, dog. They're definitely putting the time in, definitely putting the grind in to get this stuff to look this good. And, they make like 1 or 2 tracks a year. So, you do expect it, but it's still impressive. Like, whew, still impressive, dog. I mean, even right here, like, just with the terrain, like, kind of making little, like, washed out sand areas off the side, on the side of the jump, like, not even on the track. I mean, that's just crazy. Like, I don't know. I just know ever since the Nicholas Sandbox track started coming around and Janet kind of started taking some things and taking some advice from him, they've all been working together. So they've all kind of been, really building this whole, like, next level MX simulator tracks, and it's putting everybody else's tracks to shame, dog. Especially graphically. Especially, like, off-track fidelity, decal, that whole entire vibe. We're not even close to competing anymore. I mean, even RF is not even close to competing with this. You know what I mean? And 99.9% of everybody's custom tracks are not even close to competing with this. So, yeah, dude, it's definitely opening up the eyes for sure. So, either way, yeah, it would have been cool to maybe have seen one of these jumps be just a little bit bigger. I mean, I would say the biggest jump on this whole entire track is probably like maybe 30 or 40 foot, right? So, pretty small, very beginnery style jump track in that sense. So, but it still is fun. Trying to hit some of these sections, really fun coming around this first area right here after the finish line and trying to actually jump this and land right in the inside rut right here. And then he kind of has it like split off into 2 different ruts where you can go to the outside berm still, or you can hang that far inside rut. So kind of a cool little area right there, and then just some very chill out double, and then just like a roll single right here, right? This track's actually pretty similar to that Nicholas Sandbox National track as far as the on-track. It really is, because even that track didn't have like massive jumps. It might have had one section that was a little bigger jump vibe, but just the way the ruts are designed, you can definitely tell this is taking some influence from, Nicholas Sandbox tracks, like, for sure. 100%, 100%, bro. So, either way, yeah, what else is there to say, man? Solid track overall. Like I say, fidelity, graphically, he's got grass in a lot of different areas, little bush, little pond areas, trees, cool rocks. Like, it's just crazy how it all looks when you're actually on the track, Like, yeah, there could have been a little more fun factor put into the jumps for my own personal taste. But other than that, and maybe a little bit more flow for it being such a deep sand track. Like some of these really tight corners that have these inside ruts, you just like completely get bogged down. Maybe a little more flow, slightly bigger jumps, right? Like at least have one tabletop that's, 80, 90 foot versus every jump just being like 40 foot. That would have definitely added to the fun factor a little bit. So yeah, I guess, I'll probably give this like a 9 overall, just for that fact alone. It's not just perfect, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'd probably give it a 9 overall in that sense, but still an amazing track, still a next level track, graphically 11 out of 10, you know what I mean? But, so yeah, fun factor, just kind of that one tick down from what I personally would like it to be, but, still a fun track. Difficulty, easy, right? Easy to medium. There is roughness, so I guess you could say like in between easy and medium. And the sand does make it a little tricky if you're not used to riding in this deep of sand, so there are some... It's not like there's no skill gap to the track, it's just the fun factor is not quite to that level of some other national tracks, right? So, but either way, still a solid track, still a fun track, still an amazing looking track. 9 overall. Amazing job. Keep doing what you do. Everybody go donate to this dude. For sure. Dude, what the hell is this? Is this an actual, like, footprint in the 3D, real life 3D scan sand? Is that what I'm looking at here? That's what that looks like, dog. I don't know. That may not be that at all, but dude, just the shaping on the side, like the terrain mixed with the overlaid decal, man, they're able to get that to another level. Whew. So, yeah, either way, keep on doing what you're doing. Everybody, go donate to this dude. He's got his stuff on the forums. I'll leave a link to this track down below in the descriptions. Go donate to him. He deserves it. You know what it is. Appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.